audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to LaFleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
All right, okay, we're back. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, something's going on with my mic. I hope you can hear me. The good news is that the month of January is over for the Montreal Canadiens because very unfortunately, they have now lost their last 4 games of the month of January. Tonight versus Marc Andre Fleury, playing in his last regular season game in Montreal versus the Canadiens. The Canadiens were only able to manufacture 20 shots, and Marc Andre Fleury stopped all 20 for his 76th career shutout, just one shutout behind Roberto Luongo. The second game, the Wild have played versus the Canadiens this season, and they have won both by shutout. A lackluster effort by the Montreal Canadiens. Looked like they were missing some emotion, some passion. Head coach Marty St. Louis says they were missing some juice. He says they've lost their swagger. They need to get it back. Let's bring in Chris Knuckles Nilan from the Raw Knuckles podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Knuckles, how are you?
I'm good, Tony. What's happening, buddy?
It's all good, my man. Let's bring in. It's time for the McGuire Report.
The McGuire Report. Presented by Vago Italian.
And Pierre McGuire, the McGuire Report is presented to you by Restaurant Vago on Green Avenue. Vago combines old world classics and new Italian dishes for over 23 years. Private dining rooms for any occasion, open Monday to Saturday evenings and lunch from Tuesday to Friday. Located at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount. For reservations, call 514-846-1414. You'll be greeted by Tommaso at the front door and Angelo cooking up a storm in the kitchen. Pierre, how are you?
Excellent. Good to visit with you and Chris, Tony.
All right, guys. I think the big question is, what is wrong with the Montreal Canadiens? Yes, a loss, okay. But you would have thought after losing their last three, Pierre, that the Canadiens just would have brought a little bit more passion. Last show, along with Maxime Lapierre, you said, Tony, I think the Canadiens are starting to feel some fatigue. Is that what you tell me again tonight?
Well, that and the Minnesota Wild deserve a lot of credit. I thought I was watching Jacques Lemaire's teams in New Jersey play against the Montreal Canadiens. They did the same thing to Toronto last night. They dominated the neutral zone. They dominated in their own zone. How many one-and-dones did you see from Montreal tonight? After 40 minutes, they had 10 shots on goal. They couldn't manufacture second, third, or fourth chance opportunities. They couldn't draw any penalties until the third period. They didn't have a lot of energy, but I give Minnesota a lot of credit. I think Minnesota played a great road game.
Knuckles?
Yeah, but listen, you got to give Minnie credit for sure. But as Bob Berry used to say, you guys are flatter than piss on a plate. And they were flatter than piss on a plate. I got to the point, and I told you this, Tony, beginning of the year, I was watching this team, and I started to expect them to lose hockey games. Every time I went to a game or I watched it, I was expecting them to lose. And if they won, well, great. And then that changed, right? The last month, they really got their swagger. They were jumping. Everybody was. It just seemed like this team came together. And then, the last four games certainly gone the other way. And one of the areas they really struggle is their own end of the rink. They're playing that, and I've said this from the get-go. You know that, Tony.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it. But the man-on-man hockey they're playing, when they get outmatched in the physical end of it, and they end up on the weak side a lot. They always end up on someone's. They're looking at numbers instead of looking at the logo and being able to check the guy, and that results in what we've seen: a lot of holding penalties, a lot of hooking penalties in the defensive zone because they get overmatched. They end up on the weak side and they end up in trouble. So, I don't know the answer to that. They tried the hybrid system. Now they're doing the one-on-one, and it worked. It seemed like it was working for a while, but. They're giving up a lot of good opportunities to these teams. So, they got to correct that.
Guys, you know what? I have all kinds of notes on what was going right tonight, which was very little, mostly what was going wrong. There's not one reason why the Montreal Canadiens lost, and you're right to give Minnesota a lot of credit. Matheson, Suzuki, Newhook, Dvorak, Struble, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, and Jake Evans had 0 shots in this hockey game. But one of the things that stood out to me when I take a look at the Canadiens losing this game and getting shut out and really no offense at all and mustering only 20 shots, I take a look at some of their better players. And one of what, I take a look at Patrick Laine. Guys, somebody forget to tell him that there was a hockey game tonight or what? I mean, geez, I didn't even know he was playing. He was invisible.
Yeah, everything's to the outside. You got to fight to get to the inside part of the ice. He didn't want to do that tonight. I like what Chris said. Especially the Bob Berry line. I thought that was appropriate. But you got to fight to get to the inside part of the ice. Brock Faber's not going to give you easy access to the front of the net. There's a great sequence in the first period where Lane Hutson tried to take Spurgeon wide. And he thought he was going to walk him. And Spurgeon said, no, not tonight. And he gave him a shot in the boards. And I was like, I think the Canadiens saw that. Those are two little tiny guys, really, by NHL standards. And it was like one guy to another guy. I'm just not letting you get there, and none of us are letting you get there. I don't think the Canadiens want to fight to get to the front of the net. I really don't.
Chris, I want to talk about Laine because, you called him out on Saturday night or Sunday during your show after Saturday night's game, and you were saying, listen, to everyone who's giving Matheson some heat, I mean, Matheson's not the problem there on that game-winning goal by Jack Hughes. It all starts with a very bad pass by Patrick Laine, which is behind Matheson. I think Pierre just said it. I mean, we all love watching Patrick Laine on the power play. We all love watching him on his off wing. And when he loads up with that big shot, not too many goalies have a chance. But when the games are tight and you have to battle for every inch of ice, it doesn't seem like he's up to it.
Yeah, forget about it. Listen, the other night on that play, and I said, the puck should come on the front foot, and I didn't further explain myself. It's better to shoot off the back foot, but Matheson's momentum is going toward the net, and he's wanting the puck. So you got to put it within at least the width of his hips or his shoulders, so he can adjust to that puck as it comes. If it's off the back foot and his momentum is going that way, he's going to get it back here. And he still might be able to make a play with it, but he won't be able to shoot it. So if that momentum's going that way and it comes toward the front foot and he starts to slide into it, he can make a play. So he was treated really unfairly, Mike Matheson. The only thing when I look at the other guy, he's very frustrating. It's frustrating to watch a guy that big with that talent that he's so soft on the wall, all over the ice. He's soft 5-on-5. It just, you got to, like Pierre said, you got to battle to get to the middle of the ice. That's where you're going to score from. And, it's tough to watch some nights. And, it's great he can score on the power play. I get it. Whoop-de-doo. But whoop-de-doo. 5-on-5. You win hockey games in the playoff by going to those tough areas, paying the price, doing those things. And when you don't see it here, and I know it's the regular season, but you're not going to see it in the playoffs. I don't care. I just don't care. You're not going to see it.
Guys, let's bring up the Minnesota Wild lineup if we can. So the Wild, Joel Eriksson X entering Matt Zuccarello on the right and Matt Boldy on the left. Second line, Marco Rossi with Hartman on the right and Foligno on his left. Third line, Gaudreau with Trennan on the right and Ogren on the left. And the fourth line, Krasnodar with Locko on the right and Devon Shore on the left. On defense, Middleton with Brock Faber, Chisholm with Spurgeon, Merrill with Zach Bogosian. Of course, it's Marc Andre Fleury in goal for the Montreal Canadiens. Let's bring up the Canadiens lineup. Suzuki with Slavkovsky on the right, Caulfield on the left, Kirby Dach with Liney on the right, Newhook on the left, Dvorak with Gallagher on the right, Anderson on the left, and Jake Evans with Yoel Armia and Raphael Harvey-Pinard. On defense, and let's keep this defense chart here if we can. Matheson with Carrier, Jackeye with Hutson, Struble with Savard. Let me just get this straight, guys. I don't think the Canadiens lost the game tonight because of what their defense pairings were or weren't. I just find it a little bit curious, though, that Matheson, who for 90% of the last 5 weeks was with Hutson, but last game was with Carrier again tonight. Jackeye, who for the last 5 weeks or whatever it was with Savard, was now moved up with Hutson. Hutson, who for 90% of the last 5 weeks was playing left D, is now playing right D. Matheson, who was playing right D for 90% of 5 weeks, was playing left D. And Jaden Struble gets called up to play with Savard when for the last 5 weeks it was Jackeye playing with Savard. Pierre, once again, I don't think they lost because of what their defense pairings were tonight or weren't. But are you surprised that they didn't maintain much consistency with their pairings?
No, they're looking for answers right now, and they haven't found any. That's why they keep moving the partnerships around, and they're trying to get Matheson comfortable, especially playing on his strong side on the left side. There were a couple instances tonight where you saw Jackeye was putting pucks in tough spots for Hutson, who's a left shot playing on the right side. He had a tough time with that. Carrier was much more aggressive offensively. We saw him down by the icing line a few times in the game. I get what they're doing. Chris knows this. He's lived the dream. I'll just tell you, Tony, right now, I told you the other night that I thought Logan Meyer should come up. Jaden Struble. I like Jaden Struble. I've been watching him play since he was a kid at St. Sebastian's High School in Boston. So I've known his body of work for a long time. I would still tell you today, I would bring Logan Mailloux up to play on the Montreal Canadiens before.
I don't think they trust him, Pierre.
What's that?
I don't think they trust his game.
Well, they clearly don't trust Strubal's game very much.
No, well, either that or they're playing Strubel where they think his chair is all along third pairing defenseman.
Maybe.
Yeah, for me, I never liked the Matheson-Hutson duo. Yeah, and I told you that, Tony. I just think,
Yeah.
I love what Hutson does, but he needs to have an anchor baby back there for him. Not Mike Matheson, who plays a similar type of game. And, especially when they get down their own end around the net, in the corners, and they get overmatched, the other team's getting good opportunities. We talked about the one-on-one play, and I get it. You got to be good with your stick, and you got to be smart, and Hudson's got to compensate for his lack of size. But you're not going to compensate all the time for that lack of size with your smarts and your stick, because you're going to just get overpowered. Certainly not for lack of effort, the kid, but I never liked that duo. That's the only good thing that come for me. The goalie injury is those two guys having to get split up. But some nights it's just tough to watch defensively because they get scrambling there and they get on the weak side and they're in trouble. So,
but Pierre, why don't you do this? Why don't you identify your opponent and spring free the Suzuki line, put Matheson and Hutson together when they're on the line, so you can have a real fast transition from defense to offense and attack teams that way, right? Does that make sense?
It does, except for there's one problem with your logic, and I was shocked that I saw this. Joel Eriksson Ek last night against Toronto, his line played head-to-head against Marner, McMahon, and Matthews, and shut him down, basically. Shut him down.
Yeah.
John Hines starts the same line tonight in Montreal.
Yeah.
Who starts for Montreal? Suzuki,
Caulfield. Yes.
You can't do it any worse.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And so what you've done is you've just basically sended home ice to the other coach.
Pierre, that's what I told you last game, though. I didn't like Suzuki going head-to-head with the Scheifele line, and I said I would have identified a line that would have had Jake Evans centering it, probably put him with Anderson and Armia, say to them, you're going up against the Scheifele line. Your mandate is to shut those guys down. And if you do, we think we got a pretty good chance to win the hockey game. Now, I don't know if they would have or not. And then you spring free the Suzuki line. And I would have gone with the same logic tonight. And for whatever reason, I don't know why they're taking the Suzuki line, putting them up against some lines that are doing some great work in the National Hockey League this year. And it's telling Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slav, we got to take care of our own zone. We got to keep the other team off the board, and they're not taking the offensive chances that they should. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Well, I'll give you another example of game planning, and Chris will appreciate this, Tony, just like you will, and I hope our listeners will. Watch the first power play Montreal has in the third period. That's when they got their first power play. And watch what Gauthier, number 89, does. He doesn't stand in a normal penalty killing spot. He shields and faces off right on Patrick Laine. And they told the Montreal Canadiens, beat us with your four other guys because we're not going to let him one time the puck. And Montreal was discombobulated on the power play because of it.
Right.
So there was a team that was completely and utterly prepared at the NHL level. I know the guy that runs their penalty kill, Jack Capuano. I worked with the guy. They totally knew exactly what they were doing. They shut the Canadiens down. And it's the same thing from the start of the game on the matchups. It's the same thing.
But excuse me, and I hear what you're saying, but when the other team knows what you're going to do on your power play and they take that away from you, you need a plan B.
But this is no, you don't have to excuse yourself. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One team was prepared and the other team was not prepared.
Yeah. Listen, when that happens in a game, right, you got to make those in-game adjustments. You got to be prepared for that. And the coach got to listen. They're taking line away. We got to look at making a play down low across the front of the net. Something. We got a 2-on-1 someone.
Correct.
Somewhere. And if they're shading him that much, something else is going to be open. But you got to prepare yourself for that. And when you recognize it when you're on the ice, those players who are on the ice have to make the adjustments. They can't wait for Marty to say, hey, guys, time to switch it up. If they see that, you got to do it right away.
Yeah, guys, this is a pleasure to do this Habs postgame show with two gentlemen who are behind an NHL bench. So allow me to ask you, when you say you got to see they're taking that away, but this is determined already in practice, is it not, gentlemen? That all right, this is what we're going to do. But if they take away Liney, well, then we got to look for this, or we got to look for this. And then once you recognize it in a game situation, then you divert to it. Do you not?
Yeah,
you would think so.
Chris made a great point, Tony. I'm just going to tell you, the line that coaches use, you got all this room, create 2-on-1s all over the ice. That's power play hockey, create 2-on-1s. So one of the things that I would try to do, if they're going to take Liney away and shade on Liney, I'm going to put Cole Caulfield, right-hand shot, right in the bumper spot. And I'm going to play a guy right on the icing line, let's say Slavkovsky. I'm going to play Suzuki over on the top of the circle. And if I go Hutson to Suzuki, I'm trying to make it easy for talk radio. Hutson to Suzuki. Suzuki either attacks the net and then moves the puck down to Slavkovsky, and then Caulfield comes through, right-hand shot coming through the middle, or Suzuki goes, boom, right to the middle to Caulfield, one-timer on goal. You're creating 2-on-1s all over the ice. They never did that. They never did it.
Yeah. It sometimes, certainly that's frustrating. For me, and listen, I get the offensive part of the game, okay? But like the first goal tonight, Caulfield soft on the boards.
Mm-hmm.
The other goal, Abba comes back. He goes right to the guy in the wall. It's a 2-on-1. You got to recognize that and stay between both those players.
Well, Hutson makes the mistake there.
No. Well, he pinched the puck. The puck is coming.
Yeah.
The puck is coming. He pinches there. One of the forwards fell down low. So regardless, you got to be able to adjust to that as that's your partner. You got to back him up instead of going at that puck like he did.
100%.
You got to play it like a 2-on-1. And then another one was the Newhook. When the puck gets turned over in your end of the rink, you can't be thinking offense. You got to be thinking defense. And he went at the puck to go grab it and do a little dance and take off. And he whiffed and gets the puck and it's in the net. Right there, when you turn that puck over, I'm thinking defense. I got to play through this guy and make sure he doesn't get an opportunity.
He's right.
So those things kill teams.
And Yellow and Sammy at Master Control, if we can actually bring up the goals. A couple were scored in the second and a couple were scored in the third. Let's bring them up. Okay, so there you have the Ogren goal, 3:41 into period number 2, assisted by Freddie Gaudreau. And like Knuckles said, Cole Caulfield's along the boards. He's got a stick on it, but he's picked off by Gaudreau, who goes from skate to stick, pass to Ogren. Alex Carrier trips and takes Dobesh's stick with him, and Ogren's all alone in front of Dobesh, and he goes top corner, blocker side. 2 minutes and 6 seconds later, Hartman rims it around the boards. Hutson steps up and says, I'm going to stop it at the blue line, and it goes over his stick. Foligno has it with Rossi on a 2-on-1. Xhekaj, instead of staying in the middle to try and cut off the pass, he goes straight to Foligno, who passes it to Rossi. He's all alone, and a quick wrist shot beats Dobesh, stick side, 2-0. On to period number 3 we go. 5:56 into period number 3. Rossi is being watched by Struble, but he's able to get a pass into the offensive zone that goes right on Newhook's stick, who, like Knuckles said, is thinking offense and not defense, and he's poke checked by Shore, who at the top of the circles beats Dobesh with a wrister, short side, 3-0. And the Canadiens pulled Jakub Dobesh with about 4.5 minutes left in regulation, and with 1 minute and 27 seconds left, the puck goes back to Hutson at the left point. Trennan gets a stick on it, and it goes straight to Gaudreau, who takes a couple of feet forward, and when he hits the red line, he hits the empty net. Canadiens lose by a score of 4-0. They were outshot 27-20. And once again, Marc Andre Fleury, guys, what a special night, for Marc Andre Fleury playing his last regular season game in Montreal. What a career he's had. We know it already. 3 Stanley Cups, 1 Vezina, 2 decades worth of longevity, the ultimate team guy. He's won his last 6 games versus the Montreal Canadiens. And great players, Pierre, can do things when you want them to do things. And even though no one wanted to see the Canadiens lose tonight, or at least not Canadiens fans, you wanted Marc Andre Fleury. If the Canadiens weren't going to win, you wanted Fleury to get a shutout, and he did. And he's named the first star. Mind you, he would have got it even in a loss. But what a special night.
Yeah, it was a great night. The fans were really appropriate. I thought the Canadiens organization was appropriate, and I thought the players at the end of the game were appropriate. I know it stinks losing on home ice, especially getting shut out, but I thought they handled themselves really well. I thought it was outstandingly classy. I really do.
Look at that, Knuckles. All the players lining up, going over to see him. Marty St. Louis calling him over after saying, I want to have a few words. Look at Kirby Dach in the middle there. Those 2 guys were teammates with the Chicago Blackhawks. And by the way, Marc Andre Fleury, as a Blackhawk, picked up his 500th NHL win in Montreal. So those guys are friends, and everyone had all kinds of respect for Marc Andre Fleury. You saw the camera zoom in, obviously, on Jeff Molson, giving Fleury the round of applause that he deserves. Jakub Dobeš said, we're not happy we lost. He said, I had my moment a couple of weeks ago, and tonight was his night, but losing sucks, but sometimes it's nice to see other people happy too.
Yeah, I just, the game, things have changed. I get it. I just think back in the day, I'm going to go freaking hug Reggie Lemelin and Dan Bouchard from the Nordiques and Mike Liu from the Whalers. Hey, hell of a career, kid. I've been punching him in the head. Shitting me? So, and listen, I get it. Fleury's a great guy. He is. He's super. Great teammate, all that. Great career. Surefire Hall of Famer down the road. But the game, right? Did you ever see that before? No. In a hockey game where another team comes out and hugs the goalie up because he played his last game at the Bell Center against the Canadiens, who Minnesota has kicked the shit out of the last 15 games, and we're going to hug up the goalie.
No, yeah. I saw a lot. You know what, though? I will say, Chris, back in the day when you were playing, I was coaching, I saw Gretzky go on his farewell tour. There were a lot of guys hugging him.
Yeah. We're talking about the great one, though. The great one.
Yeah.
And that was what? So Gretzky retired in what? Was it 99?
Like 97, 98.
Yeah, 97. What? Yeah. I was out of the league, so it didn't make a difference, I guess. No. Yeah, I don't know. Just old school, it's old school. I know things have changed. I'm not, it was nice. It's nice. They were nice to him. That's classy.
Guys, several were calling for Raphael RV Pinard to make his way into the lineup because he had got called up, thinking he could give the Canadiens some energy. Let's see what he can do. I wasn't very impressed, guys. 8 minutes and 54 seconds, 0 shots, 1 hit. I didn't see a lot of energy from Raphael RV Pinard.
But that's just a misread. That's not his style of play.
Yeah.
I want a guy like Chris that's going to play in that role. That's going to go out there and win races and put guys into the board. That's not his game. He's going to get energy in the building if he's scoring goals. He's not ready to do that right now. So I don't know what the thought was on that one, on that call-up. But again, I get that they know their team better than I do. I know that.
You know what? I've been thinking for a couple of weeks, and it's not like I saw him 1,000 times, but every time I've seen him, I like Davidson a lot. He's the guy that I thought they were going to call up a couple of weeks ago.
We've brought that name up 2 or 3 times on this show. I mean, I've seen him play a ton, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just want to keep him down there and not give him a little taste yet. I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll open up the phone lines at 1-888-585-7425, 1-888-5856. It's also your opportunity to ask Chris or Pierre a couple of questions. Guys, once again, I'll rattle off a couple of stats here. Ice time for Montreal Canadiens defenseman. Matheson, 25-27. He leads the way. Your next most used defenseman is Hutson, 21:33. So 6 seconds shy of 4 minutes less. Your next most used defenseman, Carrier, 20:35. Jacky, 18:21. Savard, 16:05. Struble, 15:36. Guys, one game will not give us the answers as to whether or not they can, in the short term, replace what Caden Gooley brings to the Canadiens. But Pierre, based on this one game, even though I just said what I said, if you're Kent Hughes, are you giving it some time here, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, let's wait till the Foreign Nations tourney, or are you trying to make a move?
Well, I think you're always trying to make a move. You just got to make the right move. I don't think they're going to panic. They like where they're going. You know, I'd be shocked if they just did something to do something. I don't think they need to do that. That's not where their team's positioned right now. I
understand that, but if they don't do anything, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Did you think they were going to
make the playoffs?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you think they were going to make the playoffs before the season started?
I did not, and
I did not either. Chris, did you?
No.
So, I mean, they're playing.
I thought they would be in the mix and a couple of points out, but I didn't think they would make the playoffs.
Yeah, so I'm on the same page as you. Look where Detroit's going right now. They're going. They're surging. They were down 2-0 in Edmonton. They're already 2-2 in Edmonton. They're just surging. Wait till they get Patrick Kane back. I'm just telling you, they're surging. I talked to enough NHL guys today. They're just going to keep going. They're not going to fall back. Boston's going to fall back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't expect Montreal to be in the playoffs. I never did. I was enjoying the ride. I thought it was a ton of fun to watch, but they're not ready to be in the playoffs. They're not.
Yeah, no, listen, I hear you. They clearly don't look like it in the last 4 games, but that ride was 5 weeks.
It was fun, wasn't it? It was a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
They got a taste of it, and they were playing well. They got in that groove. I mean, I get all that, but to sustain what they were doing, especially with this team, I just think it was impossible. I think they were punching above their weight. They played well. I get it, but to sustain that in this league, and with the young team they have, it was going to be difficult. And some of the guys that they're going to lose come next year, you're going to fill those spots with who? Some more young guys, right? Which I get, whether it's Demidov and this one and Haig or whoever comes, and you know, some of them young guys. So there's going to be a learning curve there too with these guys. And then at what point do you say, all right, now we're going to go try and bring some of those, you know, Monahans in, guys that can help you win in the playoffs. And you're going to need those players because, come on, look at Vegas in the playoffs. Look at Florida. Always the teams that punch you in the mouth, can take a punch in the mouth, and can be standing at the end. Those are the teams that win. And right now, when I look at this team, punch in the mouth, I don't think so.
No, we agree. We're on the same page.
Ari says Tony thought they were the St. Louis Blues of 2019. No, Tony didn't think they were St. Louis Blues of 2019. What Tony said was, back in 2019, on January the 3rd, the St. Louis Blues were last in the regular season, and then they went on an incredible run. And in the words of my buddy, the late, great Randy Tiemann, you never know. Now, so, but I didn't think the Canadiens were going to make the playoffs, but I hope I'm wrong. Let's go to Noah. Noah, thanks for calling the Habs post game. You're on with Chris Nilan and Pierre McGuire. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Good.
Noah?
Awesome. So me and my roommate from Queen's University were wondering about draft picks. We got a plethora coming up. We got like 2 in the first, 2 in the second, I think 3 in the third. So me and my roommate were wondering what do the Habs do with these draft picks? Do you trade them at the deadline? Do you use them in the draft, or maybe even try to offer sheet them? So we're just wondering what Jeff Gordon and Hughes would do, and what you guys would do as if you guys were in charge of it, obviously.
Go ahead, Petey.
Well, you know, I think it's early to decide what you're going to be doing with draft picks. In terms of offer sheets, I don't see that being a good way to pursue anything right now at this point. I like to see what they do cultivating their own assets and continue to draft. I have a lot of faith in Marty Lapointe. I got a lot of faith in Nicky Bobroff. I think their scouting staff is really strong. I got a lot of faith in those guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, I remember when, and I'm not dumping all over Bergie. Bergie did it differently, right? Mark Bergevin. But when I think of that team back in the day, the minor league team, they had nobody to call up. It was crazy. Like, I just wondering what the hell is going on here. It was always trading or doing this or doing that. Now you have a management group in here that is doing it right. They get the assets, they get the draft picks, they're going to build them up, and bring these players in and develop them from within and do this thing the right way. I just think they are. Now, certainly they say you never draft by need, but geez, they need to get tougher and bigger. You know, they got some talent coming, you know, Demidov and company, and I just think they need to get that grit, and you know, you got to draft that sometimes, and sometimes it's really tough to get it because a lot of teams don't want to give that up, right? Because they know come playoff time, those are the players who are going to take you to the end.
Let's go to Colin. I think Knuckles has a grandson called Colin. Don't you have a grandson?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I don't know if it's your grandson, but let's go to Colin. Hello, Colin.
Hey guys, it's Colin in Regina, long-time listener of both Tony and Chris.
Thank you.
Big Pierre fan. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Anyway,
We appreciate it.
I just want to say it's been a real fun season, and we've seen a lot of growth in a lot of areas. Gooley getting injured really took a lot of wind out of my sails. Mm-hmm. And by the looks of it, the team too, from how they played tonight. But it's clear this team needs upgrades on D and up front still. There's lots of work to do. Hopefully, with Demidov, Hage, and Reinbacher, etc., they'll be able to fill those. But here's what I have to say. You guys realize our number 2 left winger is on pace for 21 points right now. That's not a top 6 forward, yet we keep penciling him in here every night. No questions asked, never benched, never sat, gets PP time. It's lunacy. Do you guys think we need to mix up the bottom 3 lines here? 4 losses in a row. Even that Evans line is not the same without Heineman. What do you guys think?
I agree on the Heineman thing. Totally agree. I talked to Tony about this the other day, so I completely agree with you. In terms of the second line left winger, most of his points come on the power play anyways. So, yeah, that's just where it is. This is what the team has right now. I don't see them making wholesale changes, but I like what Chris said before. You got to develop it from within. I think they're starting to do that.
I think I said last Habs post game, I don't know what the asking price is for a guy like Michael Granlund, but he's a pretty good point producer for the San Jose Sharks. I think if the Canadiens wanted to make a deal, and this is the whole thing, right? Because I don't know if Gordon and Hughes want to make a deal and want to pursue this to try to make a big playoff push. But if they want to make a deal, and I don't know what the price is, I would love for a guy like Michael Granlund to be one of the guys they identify. He makes $5 million a year. He's I think 32-year-old centerman, but he's in the final year of his contract. He's going to be UFA. He plays for a team that's not only not going to make the playoffs, but is going to finish at the bottom. So they might be inclined to want to trade him because it'll make their team weaker and it'll probably assure them of finishing at the bottom. He's a friend of Patrick Liney's, you would think. They both represented Finland, you would think, in the past. And I would put Granlund to center the second line, and I'd have Liney and Kirby Dach as my wingers. And I'd move Alex Newix down to the third line. But once again, I don't know what the asking price is for Granlund. Maybe Mike Greer wants to keep him, Pierre.
Yeah, I don't know. The UFA part's a little bit scary. I remember when Granlund was breaking in, he played in the Olympics with Teemu Selanne in Sochi. I was there doing the games, and Selanne was an amazing mentor for him. That was 2014. I also remember when Granlund got run out of Pittsburgh, and he got run out of Pittsburgh unceremoniously. They wanted him nowhere near their team. So, you know, I see what you're talking about, but I also know that I don't know what that move does for you, especially if he's going to be a UFA. I don't know what that does for you.
Well, I don't know what Kirby Dach does for you right now. So let's talk about Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach has been in the National Hockey League for he's been in the National Hockey League for about 6 years, but take a look at the games that he's played. He's played over 3 seasons worth, which would be about 246 games. He's played 263. He's never had a season more than 38 points. He's never had a season more than 14 goals. He's taken 1,398 faceoffs, and he's won only 35.8% of them. That's not a second line center. He's still young, and he hasn't come into his prime yet, and that'll probably be in 2 or 3 years from now. But right now, I'm more glass half empty than I am glass half full, guys.
Well, you know, you got to look at that too. The injuries. He said he had injuries. Coming back from those injuries, the ones he's had, not easy, right? So you got to take that into account with it when you look at the 6 years, right? Been quite a few injuries, right? Am I going up the wrong road here?
Yeah.
And you know, we saw it this year, bouncing back after a whole year off. Like, that's hard to come back from. He was in his head. Could tell he was in his head, and then he kind of come around, and you know, everybody beating on him in town. He sucks. He's this. He's that. He's no good. Get rid of him. Blah blah blah. That wears on a kid. I felt bad for the kid, right?
Yeah.
And you know, people don't care, and they're gonna say what they want to say. I get it, but boy, that's tough on a young kid like that. And I think he battled through it, and give the coach credit to, like, sticking with him, and you know, he bounced back. I was so happy to see him on the road there scoring goals. The team is winning. You know, he was a big part of that, you know, that month, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He did really well. That's what you need from your second line, right? That secondary scoring, you need it. It's not good enough to get some chances. You need the secondary scoring. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's still too early to tell on Kirby Dach.
All right, let's go back to the phone calls, and we go to Cam. Cam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Honestly, we've been playing really well the last few weeks. It looks like we're finally regressing back to the mean, though. So, essentially, I was wondering what your guys' thoughts would be on our deadline plan. So, essentially, I don't think we would have made the playoffs even before we went on this run. But I would love to supplement the guys, something that really makes sense for us right now for like the short to medium term. Ryan O'Reilly locked up for 2 more years after this one, $4.5 million. I think he could be an excellent stopgap for guys like Michael Hage, for example. Would you guys jump at that opportunity? And if so, what would you give up? Personally, I'm ready to give up a first, second, third for Ryan O'Reilly. Maybe sounds crazy, but he's an excellent 2C. You get that cost certainty and helps up your young guys and win right now as well. What do you guys think?
Pierre?
I don't think he's coming to Montreal. I think if he leaves Nashville, he's going to Toronto.
Thanks so
do
much.
what you can. He doesn't have a no move clause, nothing. I think
I understand everything you're saying. I think Toronto will pay more to get him because they're in a more relevant position to win the cup than Montreal is. That's why I'm just telling you. Look at Toronto's asset sheet and look what they can trade to get the player. I think Toronto's all in to try to win this year. I don't think Montreal is.
Guys, why don't we do this? I mean, clearly, Jakub Dovish. Let's move on. Let's talk about Dovish. Clearly, Dovish, unfortunately for him, didn't do enough to probably get the next start for the Canadiens, which is going to be Sunday afternoon in Anaheim. Is the sample big enough or not to say that the Canadiens have 2 goalies right now that have not been able to grab the bull by the horns and run with it for an extended period of time?
Well, listen, I think they should give him a look. I mean, he played tonight. What's he supposed to do tonight? He had a team that was flatter than piss on the plate in front of him.
Didn't say it was his fault, right?
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Other than tonight's game, the kid's been incredible. You know, I would take a look at him. I would. I mean, I like Montalvo has done well. But again, he'll come up and all of a sudden he's looking good, and then he'll have one of them games. You know.
I like him a lot. Not stupid, but you know, he gave up 4 last game. Like, he loses tonight, not his fault. I get it. He gives up 3 tonight. One's in the empty net, so he gives up 3 tonight. He gives up 4 the game before. He gives up 4 the game before that. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with everything you're saying. This whole team's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can be anointing anybody as a starting goalie, even Montembeault. I don't think you can anoint him. I think it's a split situation. It's a 1A, 1B, or it's 2 2s.
So, Pierre, let's talk about Lane Hutson. We all love him, but in the last 5 or 6 games, he's not that Lane. What do you think is going on here?
It's called the dog days of the season. He's never played this many games in his life.
There you go.
He's out of gas. I mean, nobody wants to understand this concept. It happens to every single kid that comes into the league. You know, it's happened to Sidney Crosby. It's happened to Quinn Hughes. It happened to Connor Bedard. You know, it happens to every kid that comes in the league. I wish, Chris, you know what I'm talking about. I wish one day somebody that rips on these players could go down there and play for 40 games and see what they would feel like.
He never passed 40 games with Boston University. He was playing 39 games a season.
I mean, I watched them. It's a totally different intensity level. Chris played college hockey.
And think about the his size. One, trying to keep his weight up. Are you kidding me? After a season like this and getting the minutes he's getting, right? He's just burning. He has no fat on him, the poor kid. You got to pack a little fat on him.
Guys, can you add to that the fact that he comes in, he takes the league by storm, he surprises a lot of people with his ability, his IQ, his vision, his talent, and now all of a sudden they're preparing for Lane Hutson. The scouting reports are there, the video are there. You got to be aware of this guy. This guy pitches. This guy joins the offense. This guy does these kinds of plays. He does these kinds of passes. You think they're scouting him a lot more? Yeah.
That's part of it, 100%. But the dog days hit everybody, and the younger guys get hit harder than the older guys. They do. They just do.
So the 4 Nations tourney is going to be a blessing in disguise, and this guy's going to go 10 days on vacation, huh?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, back to the phone lines we go. Let's go to Brett. Hello, Brett.
Yes. How you doing, mate?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Hey, Brett.
What's on your mind, my man?
First of all, thank you guys for the every night after the game. I'm an Australian, moved to Canada, and fell in love with Montreal and the Canadiens. And just a quick question, like, where is Luke Tuck at? I know you guys mentioned early in the season that he was almost banging the door down to get into the main team. Would he be a better fit for the grit and grind that we're looking for?
I think one of the things, Brett, that's going on there is they don't want to rush any of those kids up here right now. And they got something special going on in Laval. They're first place in their division right now. They just came off a road trip where they won in Hartford and they won in Providence. He and Florian Jacki have been important players. Tony talked about Jared Davidson. He's been a very good player for them. Owen Beck's already got a little taste up in Montreal, and they sent him back down. I'm not sure they're in a rush to want to do that with any of their players. I think they want to try to build something good down in Laval and wait for next year when a lot of the guys can get called up.
And I'll second that. And I second that because I think back to 1986 when we won the Stanley Cup in Montreal. The year before, what happened down at Sherbrooke? Serge got all those draft picks. He started to draft and build from within. And who was down there, right? Brian Skrudlin, Patrick Waugh, Reish, all them kids. Momo. All these kids were down there in Sherbrooke, and they built something together they knew what it was like to battle in the playoffs and win the Calder Cup, and they come up and jump into the big club, and then, we know what happened there. So, I like what they're doing, and you don't want to rush those guys. Those guys need some time. They need some time playing that game, playing 80 games, 82 games down there, grinding it out, and then getting in the playoffs and really and showing what you can do. And then I think they'd be better for it. Those guys are better to stay down there and get a little bit of seasoning, if you will.
Agreed.
Guys, I have to admit that I didn't have an Aussie calling tonight to talk about Luke Tuck on my bingo card. I didn't see that one coming. Let's go to Claudio. Claudio, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Tony, Pierre, and Chris.
Hey, Claudio.
I'm 65 years old. I've been watching hockey all my life, and it's been a pleasure watching the Montreal Canadiens host the Stanley Cup, all those great players. But I must say, my favorite player of all time is that guy, number 30, Chris Knuckles Nilan.
Well, Claudio, thank you, buddy.
Watching you play.
Guys, if I can,
Claudio.
If I can, we have a trade to announce.
Okay.
The Calgary Flames have sent Andrei Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelletier to Philadelphia in return for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. Jeez, I like that trade for Calgary.
You know why Philadelphia did it? Michkov and Kuzmenko played together in Russia.
There you go.
Well, I like that trade for Philly, like I said.
I don't mind the trade for either team. I understand why both teams did it.
Philadelphia's looking for a spark, right? They laid an egg again tonight. Like they're running out of solutions. And Michkov, Pierre, like you said, he's hit that wall too right now, eh?
When he came over, I heard everybody in Philadelphia anointing him as the next Rocket Richard. And I was like, "Whoa, slow down, just slow down." I watched the kid play. I didn't watch videotapes of my ex went and watched him play, and he's a really talented guy. But he's a boy playing against men.
Yeah,
Chris, like it's so hard.
Yeah.
There's not a million Sidney Crosbys or Nathan McKinnons or Connor McDavid. There's just not a million guys like that.
We'll talk about and a lot of promise in Demidov, seeing what he's doing over there, but he's going to come here. He's going to run into the same thing.
Yes.
And when you look at, he's not a big kid, right? Yeah. And he's quick and he's fast and he's talented and all that. But, you look at what Slav went through for a big guy when he first got the hits he was taking, his first year there. He a couple of deer in the headlight hits, and it took him time to make that adjustment. But they're all going to go through it. And Demidov, like Michkov, is gonna have to deal with it, and like Hutson.
I agree. Tony, it's interesting. Chris talks about Slavkovsky. I was fortunate enough to be around Jaromir Jagr when he broke into the league. He was 18 years old. Chris was still playing then.
Yeah.
We had a guy named Brian Trottier that basically babysat him in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
Trying to teach him about the league. And guys, and Chris, on the ice, guys respected Trottier.
Oh, yeah.
And if he went into a scrum and said, "Don't touch that kid," they're not going to touch the kid. A couple guys might, but not a lot. No. So you got to have those kind of guys around. And I don't see Montreal having a lot of guys like that around. I don't see Philadelphia having a bunch of guys like that around.
Oh, God. They got one guy in Columbus I'd love to see here, baby. You know who that is?
I know who it is, Matthew Olivier.
Right? Can you imagine putting him on this team with Arbor on the back end? You got it covered now. And then, I'm not just that way. The thing is, Olivier can play, which is really good. And Arbor's really come along and has done well. But, you need some big wingers and some grit there on the third and fourth lines, man, that can carry the torch,
Yeah, listen, if Columbus wants to send Olivier here, add Fantilli and Marchenko at it. Add them while you're at it, too. All right, okay, we still have Claudio. Claudio, what's on your mind?
I just want to say, I agree with what Chris was saying. you need big players, but players that'll play like Chris. Like, what would you do when you got a big guy and he refuses to throw a hit? Besides pulling your hair out, how do you get the guy to play big when he's a big man?
Chris, I think that all comes down to pride. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, you gotta know what you're good at, and why you were drafted, or what you're at, what your asset is for the team, and they also have to let you know that. And then if you're not bringing what they want from you, then there has to be some consequences. Whether it's you're gonna sit your ass down. We saw what they did with Abba. They sent him down. They sat him in the stands. Maybe he wasn't doing what they expected of him. But I really, I appreciate what you're saying there about that, because I agree with the grit that you have to win the cup and stuff. But you got to draft it. That's a real hard thing to teach.
Yeah.
You can't teach that. Either you have it or you don't.
Hey guys, this coming from the Canadiens locker room. Nick Suzuki says it was Mike Matheson who approached them with the idea of the Canadiens players to remain on the ice after the game to shake Marc Andre Fleury's hand. So there you have it. Matheson's idea, guys.
Okay, that's cool. just don't blame it on Line A.
Chris, we really appreciate this. I know you're under the weather, and it's been fun having you. We're going to stick around for about 5 or 10 more minutes if you.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good. Fantastic. Yep. Good. Okay, couple more calls, couple more questions for Pierre McGuire and Chris Nilan, who will be having his one-man show at Maison Principale at the end of May and early June. Chris had his presser about a week ago. Actually, it'll be a week tomorrow at Da Vinci's restaurant, which was a packed room. Couple people left there teary-eyed. It was a very emotional press conference, Chris. I know I speak for everyone when I say that everyone's looking forward to this, Chris.
Yeah, listen, when Barry asked me to come aboard to the foundation, the Barry Lorenzetti Mental Health Foundation, as an ambassador, we started talking about the possibility of doing this, and we got the ball rolling. Ended up meeting with Vittorio Rossi and talking about, how we're going to structure this and move ahead. And we ended up doing some rehearsal and stuff like that, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be an hour and a half of me telling my story and hopefully getting people to leave there with a message of hope and resilience and understanding the world of addiction and mental health and the stigma that goes along with it. A lot of people out there suffering because they don't know, one, maybe where to get help. Two, even if they do, have a difficult time picking up the phone. And three, some are worried about the stigma that comes along with it. What you get labeled as if you decide to come forward and people know. So some people can do it, and others, because of fear and sickness, have a difficult time to do it. So hopefully we'll send that message out there, and we can help some people.
Well said, Chris. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. It's also brought to you by Playground. Celebrate Super Bowl Sunday at Playground with a tailgate menu starting at 2 p.m. featuring game day classics like wings, burgers, loaded cheese fries, and their game-breaking fried basket. Enjoy $25 Heineken buckets and catch all the action on their huge screen kickoffs at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss the biggest football event of the year. Visit playground.ca for details. And brought to you by Fruiterie de l'Art, a family-run business and mainstay in the LaSalle community since 1995. Proud to continue offering the same fresh foods and flavors they have for the past 30 years. From fresh fruits and produce delivered daily to an ever-expanding assortment of deli meats, cheeses, and sandwiches, you'll find personalized service and Tony Marinaro there every Saturday morning, grocery shopping and picking up his fruits and produce, and friendly faces like Tasso behind the counter that will make you feel like family. We go to Anthony on line 1. Hello, Anthony. Anthony, you there?
Hey, Tony, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hey, Pierre, how's it going?
Good, Anthony. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I was calling because I was listening.
Chris is doing well. Thank you. Chris.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, Anthony, how are you, buddy?
Good. Good to see you guys. I was calling because I was listening to everything that's been said about Logan Mailloux, and I know sometimes he's had some issues and they haven't been comfortable with his game at times, but when Jaden Struble was called up, I was really shocked, and the first thing I was thinking was, why didn't they call Logan Mailloux? And I'm just thinking if he stays in Laval for the rest of the season and he doesn't get called up, do you think it's going to put a lot more pressure on him to be ready to play with the Canadiens next season? Because he's going to be going into the last year of his entry-level deal.
It depends on how the team treats it. It depends on who communicates with him. It depends on how they present it to him. A lot of this stuff is how you manage the issues behind the scenes. If you just ignore the kid, it probably isn't going to be very beneficial for him. But if you talk to him and you cultivate him and you explain to him why you're doing things, I think it's a lot better. He's got the talent to play in the NHL. He will play in the NHL. And I've talked to enough coaches in the American Hockey League, and I've watched, and I've got one friend who said he's too good for this league. He should be out of here. But, I've watched him play a ton, and he's a really good player.
But Pierre, is it safe to say that when Goulet goes down, the first person they call is Pascal Vincent and ask him who the next man up is?
No.
No?
No way. No. That's why they sent Struble down on conditioning. If they bypass Struble, then they got a big issue. I just thought they would do it because of the righty-lefty stuff.
Okay.
That's why I thought they'd bring Mailloux up, because they're righty, but they didn't do it. So,
Anthony, thank you for the phone call.
Thank you, guys.
Nux, you were saying?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah, again, he's 21 years old. He could play, no question, but for some reason they want to keep him there and not bring him up into this situation again. They sent him down for developmental reasons, apparently, and he's down there. And I think certainly if there was another injury to D-Man, of course, I think he'd be the guy to come up. But, I liked him when he was here. I know we had a couple of issues here and there, but I likened that to the whole team defensively. The beginning of the season here, they were terrible in their own end of the rink. They were terrible, all of them. And who ends up paying the price at times when things are like that? Always a younger guy's going to end up going. Yeah.
Tony, just before you get going,
Yeah.
Last year when Jordan Harris was in Montreal.
Yeah.
I remember saying it was either to you or to Jimmy Murphy. They got to make a choice. Do they keep Jordan Harris or do they keep Jaden Struble?
Correct, yeah.
You can't keep both.
Yeah.
And they chose to keep Struble over Harris. And that's why Harris is in Columbus now. And so I think he's going to get every opportunity just to prove that he belongs here.
Yep.
The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the chilly winter days. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. It's ultra light and it is ultra refreshing. And you can go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Gentlemen, before we get to Mike, let me ask you this. Pierre, do you make any changes at all going into Anaheim on Sunday? And is it even a question of personnel right now?
No, I don't think it's a question of personnel. I just wish Heineman was still there. because you'd have a legitimate checking line to go on the road with Armia, Evans, and Heineman. You don't have that right now. You got 2/3 of a line. You don't have a full line. And nothing against Harvey Pinard, but that's not his role. That's not his thing. You know, when you call a kid up that's been scoring in the American Hockey League, don't make him a checker in the NHL. And when you get a checker from the American Hockey League and you bring him up to the NHL, don't expect him to be a scorer. You know, play him in the right role. Play him in the right role.
Yeah, but you know what? He wasn't scoring much either. It's actually, this season has been the least productive season since he's actually played in the AHL. Right now, I think the problem that Harvey Pinard has is an identity problem. What is he at the National Hockey League level?
That's what we're kind of saying. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
All right, one last call. Let's go to Mike, and then we'll take a couple of questions after that. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Tony. Hey, Chris. Hey, Pierre.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks for accepting my call. I have a question for Pierre. Who do you think the Habs should go for a 2C in the future?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league. I don't like saying names of guys because it kind of messes with their heads. But the one thing I think, you need a dynamic offensive center iceman that can win faceoffs and make the players around him better. He doesn't have to be super elite, but he's got to be able to be a constructive, heady second line center that can manufacture offense with consistency. I don't think they have that right now.
Do you think they could go after like a JT Miller, or is that off the table?
I don't think. No, he's got a full no move, and his contract goes to 29-30. I don't see him wanting to come to Montreal.
Yeah, he seems like a great locker room guy, that guy. Chris?
Tone.
Is there a player that you identify that you think could be, or have you still have full confidence that Kirby Dach could be that guy? He's got a year left on his contract after this year. Yeah,
I want to see Kirby again next year because again and start the season off healthy. He gets. I want to see how he finishes here, and then see where he goes next year when he comes back. And listen, they still have some time here before, because I still think they're not gonna make the playoffs this year, and next year they're gonna have a difficult time to make it again, I believe. And then I think we'll see them maybe start to do a few things as far as moving some guys in here and getting this team some players that will be a great supporting group, great supporting guys as far as, all right, we're going to make a run at the playoffs. I don't see it happening this year or next.
5 quick questions. DJ Kilo, are we in tank mode again?
No, I'd say no.
No.
Question number 2. Giuliano Ciale. Question for Pierre. Craig Button mentioned last night that the Habs should go after Braden Schneider to improve their right D. What do you think? Should they do it? And would you do Kirby Dach for Dylan Cousins? Buffalo wouldn't.
Kirby for Dylan, yeah, but I don't think Buffalo would do that.
No.
Number 2, Braden Schneider is a right defenseman. He's been playing on the right and the left side with the Rangers. Disappointing this year because he hasn't improved. And that he's part of the 2020 draft. And I really thought he'd take another step forward this year. He has not done that, like a lot of players for the Rangers, by the way, just haven't taken another step. Would I be interested in him? Yeah, but would I pay a huge toll to get him? Probably not, no.
Next question, this one for Knuckles. Charles says, Habs have had only 1 power play in the last 2 games. What does that tell you? The answer is Habs are not threatening offensively to draw penalties. Nux, 1 power play in the last 2 games for the Canadiens.
Well, skating, right? If you're skating, you're going to draw penalties. You're going to be going to the net, you're going to draw penalties, stuff like that. And they haven't been, They're a team that, when they're jumping and they're going and they're after them pucks in the offensive zone, they're going to create those penalties. And when they're not skating, it's not going to happen. So, yeah.
Last one of the night. Jenny Menez, who sends over $5, says those wide missed shots are frustrating me. Doc had a home run again. Cole missed one, and Matheson seems to always miss. Mm-hmm. Tony, love from Colombia. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right. Okay. Guys, Pierre, Nux, you're Marty St. Louis. You come out tonight and you say, I'm not going to say it's our passion, but we look like we're out of juice and we've lost our swagger and we need to get it back. What are some of the things you say to the guys to try and get it back? And gentlemen, is it possible the guys are looking and saying, we lost Gooley, Heineman's out, we played over our heads, it took absolutely everything out of us to play at the level we did. We don't have enough gas in the tank. We can't do it. We're doomed.
Why don't they have any gas, though? I mean, they don't practice, right? They haven't practiced. They've been winning. Everything's going good. Why is there no gas?
Can it be mental fatigue for playing above their heads? Or
listen, maybe some of the, like Hutson coming in as a young guy. A lot of these other guys have been here. They've been through the season. It's time to, put on the boots. Like, why are they tired? This is hockey in the NHL. And when you think of it, all right, so he took it easy on them, no practice, okay? They get the best flights, they get the best hotels, they get the best food. What the you're tired for? I don't get that part of it. You're playing the NHL, you got to bring it. Yeah, you're going to have the off night here and there, but when you have an off night, like me, someone else is going to carry the flag for me. The other guy's going to carry it. And then there's nights I'm going to carry it. And that's how it works, because I get it. Not everybody can be at the top of their game. 82 games, you just can't. It's impossible. But if you have a team that's able to fill in those gaps when guys aren't playing well, man, you got it going on. But how's the whole team tired? Come on.
Yeah, no, I agree with Chris. They're short. They're short, and they know it. And I think they're kind of looking now, saying, you know what, that break can't come soon enough.
Yeah,
I believe that. I think that's what a lot of them are looking at. We need a break, and I'm with Chris. I think that's just a sign that the team's not deep enough right now, and I think they know it.
Yeah.
Guys, before we break away, I don't know if we'll have enough time to actually be able to bring it up, but so I'm just going to see if I can put it out there, showing it off of my phone. But here we go. I don't know if you can see that, but look at that. Marc Andre Fleury with the family and all the friends and family in behind all the signs. Isn't that something, eh?
It is.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Good for him.
Congratulations to Marc Andre Fleury on a night that I'm sure he's never going to forget. And
if I was there tonight, I would have went on the ice and hugged him.
Yeah. I like that one, Nux. I like that one, Nux. Hey, guys, listen, in ending, last thing. Pierre, at one point, you said during the Christmas holidays, Tony, going on the road is going to be the best thing that can happen to this team.
Yep.
And you were right. And they played their best games of the season on the road. Then after that, they were coming back for a bunch of games at home ice. Let's take a look at the month of January, the calendar. They were going to play a bunch of home games on home ice. Take a look at that. So they play. They come back on home ice.
Vancouver was an amazing win. The Vancouver win was amazing.
Yeah, but take a look at that game on the 18th of January, Saturday night. They go up 3-0 on Toronto. They give up 7. They lose. They bounce back with a couple of wins. They go on the road, but they lose. They come back home. They lose. They lose. They lose. They've won some big games on the road. Pierre, are you prepared to say it again, that going on the road in Anaheim on Sunday, in San Jose on Tuesday, and in Los Angeles on Wednesday, this is a good time for the Montreal Canadiens to go on the road?
It's a good time to go on the road. I just don't like where Anaheim is right now. They're starting to surge a little bit, and that's a little bit troublesome. San Jose is playing with the kind of a vim, vigor, and vitality that a lot of people weren't expecting. They're causing problems, even though they're not going to be in the playoffs. And LA's starting to surge. So I'm not sure I'm in love with that right now for them.
All right. In case people are wondering what happened tonight in the National Hockey League, There's 9 minutes left in period number 3. Detroit and Edmonton are tied at 2. Canadiens fans are going to want to take a look at what's going on in that one. They're also going to take a look at what's going to go on in Columbus Columbus versus Vegas. 6 minutes left in period number 2. That one there is tied at 1. The Bruins lost on home ice by a score of 6-2 versus the Winnipeg Jets. The Ottawa Senators, they win again 5-4 in overtime versus Washington. The Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Los Angeles Kings by a score of 3-0. Carolina 3-2 over Chicago, and the Islanders go to Philly and win by a score of 3-0. Pierre McGuire and Chris Nilan, thank you very much, gentlemen. Very much appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tony. Chris. Great seeing you. Feel better.
Too. Take care, Pierre. Thank you, Tony. Be well.
Thank you, Chris. Chris battling pneumonia tonight and stayed with us for about 80 minutes or so. Thank you very much for that, Chris. Much appreciated. Special thanks to all of you. Special thanks to our sponsors. Energy Transportation Group is one. Tibi is another. Playground is another. Fruiterie de l'Art is another. And Betway is another. If you like the podcast tonight, leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love. Matt O'Han will be back tomorrow night, same time, same place. But guess what? On Fridays, for our French-speaking listeners and viewers, we have a special bonus show. And it goes on Fridays when the Canadiens don't play on Fridays, which they don't tomorrow, at 2 p.m. Eastern, and my guest will be from BPM Sports, Anthony Marcotte, and from TVA Sports, Mathieu Chouinard. Tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's still the Sick Podcast. Our French friends call it Le Podcast Malade. Talk to you then. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.